Bum
Bum
bum.
bum. How's it going?
Everything is good, TJ. Good to have you.
Thank you, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, today we've got Wilbert, and this is not just Wilbert, but he is a Dr. Wilbert, and Dr. Wilbert Mutoko, and he is a brother from another mother. He's in a different country from where I am, and he does amazing things. But before I continue raving on about him, maybe let's ask him. Wilbert, welcome, and where are you from and who are you?
Thank you so much, TJ, for having me. And thank you to all the listeners and those who are watching. I'm Wilbert Mutoko. I am from Zimbabwe, but I've been staying in Botswana and working in Botswana for the past 21 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you're a fellow Zimbabweans, I wonder whether there's still any Zimbabweans living in Zimbabwe. It looks
I
like
think
all of us
there.
were all scattered all over the world.
Yeah, they are there because of the population. I'm sure there are still a lot of people there.
100%. However, the world, I think we are not the only nationalities of people that have migrated to many different places. I know a lot of South Africans who are in many diaspora places. The British, they have done that for a longer generation than anyone. The Chinese, the Indians, the world has become a little bit smaller and more diverse. So what do you do there? What's your line of work or business?
Okay, so I am an educator. I'm passionate about education. So I do that in the lecture rooms. I also do that as a consultant, as a business consultant. I'm an executive coach as well. I do corporate training.
Amazing, amazing. I really like that. We're gonna dive into that. But now it sounds like you're this big guy here that is doing all of these nice things, which is great, right? And you're helping other people to navigate life in coaching and being a business strategist. But what was when you first earned the money, the first time that you defined that Wilbert got some money, how did you earn that money?
That's a very interesting question, TJ. My first employment, if I were to put it like that, was for mixing mortar for the builders.
Don't joke.
Yes.
You were mixing cement, water, and that's how you got your first month.
Yes, and I was also running with the wheelbarrow, and I remember it was very, very hard. I just completed A-level, and while I was waiting for my results, I decided to go with my cousin brother, who is a builder, so that I can be supporting them, and then I will earn some money. So, well, I grew up in the rural areas. I call myself a rural boy. And when people ask me to say, who are you? I say, I'm a student of life. So I liked the challenge. So I went with them. I'm telling you, TJ, by the end of day one, I wanted to quit. It was hard because my cousin brother is super hardworking. He's a workaholic. So you can imagine giving bricks to him and mixing mortar for him. It was not a job. So like you send a brick to him, he gets it, he's already laying it, he's waiting for the next one and the mortar. And then sometimes you find that there were two builders and two helpers. I was one of the helpers. So if it happens that one of the helpers is cooking for us, or is busy with something, then it means I have to be throwing the bricks to both builders and giving them the mortar as well. It was very difficult, but I had to soldier on. And at the end of each day, I would say, tomorrow they won't see me. And then when tomorrow comes, I find I wake up with energy. I say, let me continue. And then it just went on like that until I later found a job as a temporary school teacher.
The reason why I ask this question is because I see a lot of people that are starting off. Because not all of us were in the same positions. Some people are in a startup position, some are in the middle. Some have gained so much success and have fallen off and restarted again. And the reason why I ask this is because I look at you now, and then we may all think that this is where you started off from. But
Right.
you're already telling us that at some point you were doing water, cement, and soil, and that's how you earned your money. I think it
Yes.
gives hope to a guy who's probably doing that today, knowing that
Definitely.
a person like you have done this. So I really appreciate your honesty in terms of how you started earning your first income. Let's
you,
talk about
TJ.
business.
Yes.
You are in business now, and you strategize for other businesses.
Yes.
How would you define your line of work as in the business type? So you've given us the titles in which what you do, but what out of all of these things, what is your happy place that you can do at any given time?
Okay, so the interesting part is I love educating people. I love empowering people. That's why even when it comes to creating content for social media, you can agree with me, TJ, it's not easy. There are days when you don't want to create social media content. But if you are creating content that is in your heart for something that you strongly feel that you want to make a difference, then life gets easier. So for me, it's about empowering people who want to become entrepreneurs and people who are already in business, who want to get to the next level, who are hungry to move to the next level. That's where I come in. So obviously bringing in corporate training and then doing business consultancy, and as well as being a professional speaker, being invited to talk about emotional intelligence, talking about creativity and innovation in the workplace and things like that. I also enjoy research. So one of the things that I enjoy doing is when a company approaches me and they say, we have this challenge, we want you to help us. And then I say to them, look, let's do some research. Let's find out. Let's not assume, let's not use our opinions. Then we go into, the community, we do research. For example, you do an environmental scan, you find out, the external factors and the internal factors that affect the business. And then from there, we are able to actually come up with a report. And then we can report to the EXCO and tell them, this is what is happening. And this is what you are supposed to do for your business to do better. I feel encouraged when I then see that this enterprise, especially when they implement what I have suggested for them to do, and probably they can bring us in as well to empower their team members, or maybe to help those who need leadership development, or to bring in solutions. But it's not just things that we are doing, just coming in maybe as a motivational speaker, which I sometimes do. But I like it when I actually do research, then I come in and help an organization to come up with processes and systems that help them to actually solve their circumstances.
Thanks a lot on that, Dr. Wilbert. So I almost want to say this. What I've seen so far in my days of being employed, I used to say to a lot of people, because I used to work in Africa, outside South Africa, and it's not very much, the market is not very much corporate. So most of the money is not made in the big corporate. It's mostly within your entrepreneur space. It's mostly in your into these smaller companies that are coming up, or vendors or things like that, right? And those are the guys that we see mostly in Africa. What is striking me about what you just said, what you love doing, if I look at you as someone who's well educated, you have not forgotten the fact that the education is great and you can speak the good English in the boardrooms and lead those that are navigating the ships of the business, the captains of the industries. But you can also go onto the ground level where the business is being done, but you have the power of mixing the two. And I've always said to people, if you have the ability of taking corporate and taking the micros here, and you can bring them together, for Africa, for me, I really think that's where the magic is in terms of Africa. What's your view around that? Because I see some big companies, they just think big corporate and they go all out, even their ads and things like that. It's very corporate-like. But in our African continent, we see more and more, not to say we see more and more, but the reality of our communities that we still have even people that are not literate. We still have people that would only understand it in their own language. And yet the corporate could be very English. How have you seen that? And what's your view in terms of mixing these two worlds together?
That's great, TJ. Thank you so much for bringing that up. I think there is nothing wrong with targeting the large corporates or maybe the government departments, because that's where the big checks come from. That's where you make money. I've been privileged by God's grace, to consult, for example, for the government of Lesotho, the government of Botswana, and these large enterprises that are on the stock exchange. But I should say to you, yes, it's good, especially when you can see that you have added something to them. But what I have realized is that most of these large corporations, they already have systems in place. They already have processes. Everything is there. They might just need help here and there. But when it comes to these micro, small, and medium enterprises, that's where the challenge is. So I get so much satisfaction and fulfillment when I sit down with probably a CEO or his ExCo members or her ExCo members, and we talk about what we can do, especially after research. I like the research part. Most people don't like research. That's why businesses continue to fail, because we do assumption. We sometimes think of magic, or for those who believe in God, we just think that if I pray and fast, then and I anoint my forehead, my business is going to take off. Even the Bible itself says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Not because of the devil or anything. My people are destroyed because of lack of knowledge. So I would like to say, even to those who are super religious, it's important to know what you are doing and how things should be done. So you realize that somebody is running a micro enterprise, they're running a small enterprise, they're running a medium enterprise. I'll give you an example. So the other time I was talking to a very nice guy, he's a CEO, and his company has about 25 employees. So as we are talking, I was very inspired from outside. I was like, wow, some people are making it. And with those 25 employees, we are talking of somebody bringing in millions of pula per year. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But as we were talking, I began to see gaps. So I asked, okay, so who does your bank reconciliation? The CEO doesn't know. Do you have an accountant? Yeah, we have an accountant, but he also does this and that. Okay, so you have a number of branches. Do you have different bank accounts or what? And then you realize that no, what is happening is this money is managed by one person. So money can move from this branch to the other branch. It can move from one part of the group of companies. It goes into another company. There's no accountability. And you can't blame this guy. This is all he knows. He worked very hard to get here. Things have worked, and he can trust his gut, but he now needs someone who can help him to put systems in place. So I remember asking him, okay, so how do you motivate your employees? And he tells me, no, we just do voting. We vote who is the best employee. And I'm like, okay, so you don't have a performance management system? He says, that one, I don't have it. So there were a number of things. There were no financial system. There's no performance management system. There's no quality management system. I'm like, you know what? I would like to be your partner. Not necessarily that I want to be a partner in the business, but I was saying to him, I want to bring the side that I'm seeing lacking, because your enterprise is making millions, but if you are not careful, very soon it's going to start crumbling. And then he said, yeah, you are right, because actually we have this conflict, we have this problem. You are coming in at the right time, Dr. Mutoko, please help us. And then we begin to talk business from there. So it excites me to be able to come into a place, I can talk to one person starting their own enterprise and guide them. And then I can talk to another one whose business is already doing well. Another one, the business is struggling, and you are able to actually hold their hand and help them. You know what, TJ, and to the rest of the listeners, for me, what moves me most is the fact that as we run these businesses, we want generational impact. If you check right now in the world, the top 10 oldest companies in the world are found in Japan. 6 out of 10, they are Japanese companies. They are 1,000 years and beyond old. which means somebody started this business with long-term thinking. They didn't do it to put food on the table. I don't have anything against hustling. I don't have anything against putting food on the table. We all begin there, but we need to build businesses that last beyond our lifetime. How many businesses are lasting 100 years? How many businesses are lasting 400 years? Why is it that some people can create a business and 1,000 years later, the business is still booming? That's where we need to go. We need to have businesses that last, and it begins somewhere.
Yeah, but I almost want to come in a negative space there and say, I appreciate the Japanese, leading the way here. But business is not for everyone as well, Doctor. I'm sure you'd confirm with me here, because statistically, 20% of businesses fail in just the first year alone, and then within the next 5 years, they say 90% of them, again, there's an additional 90% that die. And I almost want to come back to your point where you say you were in conversation with someone and you then said, I can partner up with you to help you with this and this and this. And that guy now knows that he's got a problem within his business, right? And I honestly think that the majority of the small businesses that are being run out there, they look successful outside, and internally there's lots of problems. And by the way, I've been on the other side of small businesses and big businesses. There is no business that is perfect, right?
Yeah. You can say that again.
The guy who is watching this and they're thinking that they're doing great. So in other words, they actually don't know that there is a service like you. There's coaches out there, right?
Yes.
Those two types of people, how do you reach out to them so that they don't fall in the pitfalls of these stats that I just mentioned now? Because if they've got help very early on, then they are in the other stats of being in the positive road.
Thank you so much, TJ. By the way, I read your book on property, your first book, and I enjoyed it. And I couldn't put it down. I couldn't put your book down. It's simple, it's straightforward. And I should say, TJ, you are one of the few people who are privileged. I don't know whether it's a privilege. I think it's a privilege from God that you are a good speaker and at the same time, you're a good writer. It's rare to find somebody who is a great speaker and at the same time, a great writer. So yeah, I read your book and I really enjoyed it. So I wanted to say, the way I normally get to people is I write articles in different magazines. For example, I write for Strides magazine. So sometimes people can reach out to me. They say, you know what, I read your article on leadership. I read your article on financial wellness, and I would like to talk to you. Some people find me on my YouTube channel. Some people see the posts that I put on LinkedIn or maybe on Instagram. And some people read my books, for example, when it comes to entrepreneurship and financing, businesses, startup funding, and so on. I wrote a book called What You Have Is Enough. What You Have Is Enough. And that book has changed many lives because people suddenly realize that, what am I still waiting for? I thought I need millions to start, but I can actually start from where I am. So yeah, and of course, some of the people, it comes through the manager or the business owner or somebody from an enterprise coming to me for coaching. And then when they are happy with the coaching that I've done, then they tell other people in their enterprise to say, you know what, we need this guy to come in to train our employees on customer service or train our employees on, finance for non-finance managers or whatever it is, or to come and talk to our employees on emotional intelligence and things like that. So once I go there and they see for themselves, they say, hey, we need this guy to help us actually to become our coach and things like that. And I've also been involved in some companies where I've been called to do conflict resolution, where there are some conflicts taking place in a department. And then I come in there, I investigate, and I help them to solve their conflicts. And then, people talk. They continue sharing ideas to say, there's this guy who has helped us. You can have him. And that's how I've been doing it.
You know, on this channel, my goal is to help people that don't know that they are sick, if I may call it that. I didn't know that it is my responsibility for me to create wealth for me and my family. I thought going to work was going to give me that. And I soon realized that no, it's not like that. I have to go out there, plug in into YouTube, plug in into books, plugging into seminars, plugging into doing after I've gotten this information. So I always refer to myself and my wife to say that we were sick at some point, and we are being healed as we go along on this finance thing. Now, what are the 3 signs maybe that you can give us, Dr. Mutoko, of individuals that when they are to see these signs, they need to consult with a person like you?
Okay. So is that at a personal level or in their business?
Yeah. So I wanted to walk you through from a personal perspective and say, if you're seeing this in your life, you need a guy like you. And in your business, if you've started off a business and you are probably a small, medium business, if you're seeing these signs or if this is not in place. So I want us to walk through that journey.
Perfect. Thank you so much. You mentioned the issue of coaching. You mentioned the mentorship. You mentioned going to seminars. TJ, I've been following you for a long time. So it's such a privilege for you to actually invite me to be on this platform. It's as if you know that I love you and I love the way that you do. Yeah, I've been following you for a long time.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. You know, that's why I had to buy the book, and I need the other book as well. So what happens is anybody who has lost this zeal to do what they do, or even losing zeal to live, it's a sign that you need help. The moment you become so hopeless, so it's either you are hopeless or you just feel stagnated. You have tried everything you know how to do, but things are not working. Then it means you need another person to assist you. Or maybe you are actually making it. You are happy with where you are, but you have a hunger to go to the next level. I always say to people, if you are talking of, for example, golf in the world today, the name that quickly comes to your mind is Tiger Woods. Now, I'm not sure whether he's still the best right now or there's somebody better than him, but we have known him for the longest time to be the best golfer. How did he do it? Surely he's talented. John Maxwell wrote a book, Talent is Not Enough.
Yeah.
So if you look
I've got that book on myself.
You got it. I know. You are a student of life.
Yeah.
So you see, if the best golfer still needs a coach, the best basketballer still needs a coach, people like TJ still have coaches. So I remember the other time you were talking of how the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad was helping you and training you, Robert Kiyosaki, whose books I've also read, almost all of the books that he wrote. So Robert Kiyosaki, you went to him to be helped, to be taken to the next level. And I remember you mentioned in one of your videos that one of the days when he came to actually talk to you, he said he had been delayed because he was with his own coach.
Yes.
So people who say, I'm going to make it, and they believe they will make it alone without a coach or mentor, they won't go far. All of us need coaches. So similarly, even when it comes to business, you are starting up your business, you are not sure where to go, what to do, you need somebody to hold your hand. Maybe you have already started the business, you are making some money, but you are making some mistakes, and you need somebody to help you to put processes and systems in place. You need a person like myself. And then if your business is doing extremely well, you are hammering on every side, you also need somebody to come and challenge your team to move from there to the next level. Like I was talking to one of my coaching clients whom I help with executive coaching. And this lady is a multimillionaire in USD. She runs a company that employs more than 1,200 employees. And one time she came to me to say, you know what, I need your guidance. I feel like my business I'm beginning to stagnate. and my business is beginning to stagnate. Dr. Mutoko, take me to the next level. I need this and this and this. And also, investigate me, investigate my group of companies. Is there anything else you can help me with? She came for coaching. Yeah. She brought one of her top managers also for coaching. Then after some time, after some months, she was doing other things. She was not coming for coaching. Just the other day, she called me again. Dr. Mutoko, I need you for something different. I want you to coach me in this direction. Now, I'm saying if people who have companies that employ more than 1,200 employees, they are multi-millionaires in USD, and then somebody is seated and doesn't have a coach, doesn't read one book. The last time they were at school, they finished reading textbooks and they say, ooh, I'm free, no more reading. That's it. That's a pity. We need to challenge one another to do personal development, to move to the next level. TJ, you and I came from, poor backgrounds. But the little that we have achieved by God's grace didn't come by just wishing. If wishes were horses, beggars would ride. So we are here because of personal development, and we are going to move to the next level by personal development. If we stop developing ourselves, if we stop investing in our minds, then we are going down.
I think the reality of what you're saying there, Dr. Mutoko, is that when I started coming into property and into the business of property, a lot of things for me were very new. So I started thinking that everything is new. But then I started drawing a parallel line into my Christian walk, where when I met God and Jesus for the first time, I thought Jesus was new. And I thought this was very new, but it was new to me. The world has always been existing like this, yes. Which means that somewhere along the line, there is this success train. There is this success in whatever religion it is, of a train, if we were to take a train as an analogy. And that train is going. It's going to stop at some point, and you may jump into it, and then your world changes. Right. But if you don't take action, if you don't jump onto the train, you don't wait for the train to come through, the train is not going to wait for nobody. Those that are going to be successful will continue being successful. Those that are seeking help will continue being helped. Unfortunately, you will stay in the place where you are. But I want to bring in another concept here, Dr. Mutoko, of something that is very dear to me. And it only became dear to me after I hit a burnout. And this burnout happened to me around about last year. And my health was impacted, and I had to really look at me, my family, and my business. And I had to seek for a new coach at the time. And fortunately, I was able to find one. And he's Jewish. He's an older brother to me, and now he's helped me to navigate this particular topic. And I want to ask you, as a fellow brother, businessmen, married men, right? Mm-hmm. And someone else who is grinding outside what we may call your normal line of work. Because in your normal work, you're a lecturer. In your normal work, you're doing this business strategy and so on, and then you're doing coaching, and you're doing content creation. So it sounds like there's quite a bit happening here. Yeah. Now, when I burnt out, and my wife said to me the one day, well, you're chasing for all of this money, but one day you'll come back home and it's just you and your money. You see who's going to be around. Yeah. Because my focus was into just creating and creating and creating it. And I'm grateful that I've met great coaches now who are helping me to change that, where I am trying to find a balance between finding money, and it's not the focus, and finding happiness, which is my focus, and being present for my family. How do you balance that? And this is a direct question to you, not on the client, but to you as an individual, because you're also in the same boat with me, where there's a few things that are happening, but you're also still a man, you're also still a husband, you're also still a father. So
perfect. Thank you so much, TJ. If you allow me, I would like to say something about what we were saying about personal development, then I come to this one.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. So I wanted to say, because you had asked me, what should we say to people who need help, but they don't see they need help? So there's something I heard that happens in Nigeria, one of the tribes in Nigeria. What they do is that when your child is growing up, so like TJ has got his children, he will identify the strengths of the child. So TJ identifies the strengths of the child and what the child wants to do in life and so on. While this boy is still going to school, TJ will take the boy to, for argument's sake, Vusi Tembekwayo's house. So let's assume, so you want your son to become like Vusi Tembekwayo. It's cultural. It's actually expected that everybody should do it. So you take your son to Vusi Tembekwayo's house. So you talk to Vusi Tembekwayo, Vusi says, yes, bring your son. And let's assume for argument's sake that Vusi is running a business of supermarkets to make it easy. Okay? So what then happens is Vusi will take TJ's son into his home. TJ's son becomes Vusi's son for 10 years.
Okay.
So this boy grows up in the house of an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur for that matter. So he learns everything from how the entrepreneur runs a home, from how spiritual he is, from how he manages his money, from everything, because you are staying with them. But TJ's son is not paid for doing that. He is being mentored. Then after 10 years, he is now a grown man. And at the same time, he has learned a lot about business and life. And then Vusi will be expected to build a supermarket somewhere and stock it full. And then say to TJ's son, goodbye, son. Go and do what you saw me doing for 10 years. That's the payment. Now tell me, TJ, how does such a person fail in business?
Well, I mean, you look, I can see a lot of things there already.
Right.
Number one, you've been ingrained at a very young age. So it's in you. You don't know any better. You take an eagle and you put the eagle in the chicken. That eagle is not going to fly. They're just going to become a chicken because that's all they know what to do.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Two, you have set them up for success. Right.
Yes. Yes.
And number three, the guidance is there from a very early stage.
Yes.
But I think we do have a fear of taking my child to the next guy here and say, this is my son whom you can nature to be something else. I think that might just be a common problem. But I am, me and you were both colonized by the British.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the British in terms of their culture and things like that. So I've been looking into their very early kingdomships. Right. Like very, very early on in the 16th, 17th centuries. And that's exactly what they used to do.
Right. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. So thank you, TJ. So where I'm going with this is to say to our people, we may not necessarily have to do the way it was done by the British or by the Nigerians, but everybody needs mentorship. And let's be honest about this. It's not like we are on this show to look for customers, TJ. I know you and we are doing this to empower people. If some people feel our content is great and they would want to become our customers, why not? Let them come. We work together. Sure. But we are here to empower everyone. So let's be realistic. So what we are saying is you can actually have a mentor that you don't pay. There are mentors that are not paid. Correct. And then there are mentors that you pay. The problem that I've seen with mentors that are not paid, remember they have their own lives also. So If I say, TJ, I want you to be my mentor in property, and TJ says, yeah, Mutoko, I like you. Yeah. I've checked you a bit online and I've interviewed you. I like you. Let me help you in property. Then I say, TJ, can you just do it for free, please? You know, I don't have money. As a TJ can say, oh, yeah, why not? But guess what happens? He will help me when he has time.
Yes.
And I can't push him. There is no contract.
Right.
To extend that, TJ can say, oh, Wilbert, on Thursday, 1 o'clock, meet me in my house or let's meet at the hotel. You know, don't worry about bills, everything paid for. I just love empowering people. So we'll be talking about property at 1 o'clock. Guess what? Somebody else will call TJ and they want to pay. TJ is a businessman and they want to meet TJ exactly that same time that TJ wanted to give me. Guess what will happen? It's obvious. TJ will postpone my meeting. If it happens again that TJ postpones again, then it's over. No more mentorship is taking place.
Momentum is lost.
Momentum is lost. So it's still okay to get your uncle to mentor you. So for instance, you have no excuse whatsoever that you were born without a father. Then you say, I'm going to be a bad father because I didn't have a father. That's not a good excuse. There are uncles who are happily married around you. You have some neighbors that are happily married. You have your pastor probably happily married. Why don't you approach one of them and they mentor you? Apart from that, if possible, identify another person whom you have contractual obligations, you pay them and they mentor you in marriage. Same applies to business. Same applies to your personal finances. Same applies to your fitness. Same applies to your nutrition, everything. We need mentorship in different areas of life. And it's our responsibility to look for those mentors because most of our cultures, we don't have the system that I mentioned earlier that is found in Nigeria. I'm sorry, TJ, maybe I took too long on that. Let me go back to what you asked concerning balancing your life.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting that I've also gone through the same like you have gone through where you feel like you are now having burnout, no sleeping. I used to be proud of not sleeping, TJ, until I realized that I thought it's something to be proud of. But after some time, you realize you can die young.
Sure.
You can't be everything to everybody. Actually, they say the greater you become, the more successful you become, the more you should say no. Because there was a time when I wanted to help everybody. People approach me, please mentor me. I saw your video on YouTube. You were talking about this, please mentor me. And I wanted to mentor everybody. And then I realized also, especially when something is for free, people don't take it seriously. Those who pay usually take it seriously.
You speak about this free mentorship, right? So I had the privilege of working for the group Standard Bank. You guys also have Standard Bank in Boston. And there were free mentorships there.
Right.
It was I was being an employee. And it was on my KPIs. But I tell you this, I never attended one for the duration of the time that I worked for Standard Bank.
Right.
But the problem was that it was for free. No, that wasn't the problem. The problem was when I look back at it, I was not ready.
Right.
I didn't see any value in it.
Yes. Yes.
Today, I seek other people whom I pay in US dollars or whatever currency it is.
Yes.
And they mention big numbers. And because I want to be in their midst and I understand what mentorship is all about and what coaching is all about.
Yes.
And I can see the results. It's not just about hanging out with a mentor, but I can see the results in my family and I can see the results in my bank account. So I continuously seek those people. And I think that's where the problem is. When the student is not ready, the teachers don't actually matter. But when the student is ready, the teachers are always there.
I think you have put it across so well. Readiness of heart is very important because when you are not ready, nothing happens. So whether it's paid mentorship or unpaid mentorship, actually, I think TJ, sometimes you do it also where somebody can call me hey, I've been referred by someone to you. I really want mentorship. How much is it? I want to understand you. Who are you? What are you trying to achieve? I don't want to just take you on because you are saying you are bringing money. Because you can bring your money and tomorrow you are one of those that are not performing and you will be saying, I was the one who was mentoring you. I want to know you. What are your goals? What is lacking in your life? Can we do this together? Are we compatible? You know, so yeah, even paid mentorship is also possible for it not to work because you just paid and you're not available. It's just like TJ, it has happened to me and my wife some time back, you know, where you pay at the gym and you never go there, or maybe you go once or twice and you never go there. The will was there, but it was not strong enough for you to continue going.
So in other words, if I may hold you on there,
yes,
Dr. Mutoko, what you're basically saying is, sometimes, even though the willingness is there, and even though the money is also there, and even though the coach or the mentor is there, there may also be a challenge between compatibility. That's number one.
Yes.
Or there might also be a secondary challenge where the student and the mentor might not be the right mentor for you based on where you are in life. Right?
Yes.
And again, that's all just centers around compatibility there. So not everyone is good for everyone. And that's just as good as marriage, right?
You have said it. Yeah. You see, TJ, what I normally say to people when they approach me, you see, when you have done one or two things and people hear about you, they hear you are winning awards in this area, you have done this and so on. They want to get closer to you. And they have heard this word called mentorship. They say, Dr. Mutoko, I want you to mentor me. Dr. Mutoko. So, I mean, like every day I get people, some want to be mentored for free, some want to pay. I remember one director of a certain big organization in Botswana came to me the other day. He said, finally, I get to you. I've been chasing you. I bought your book, your first book on personal financial success in 2012 at the British Council seminar. He remembered the details. He said, you were speaking there. I bought your book. I was happy with it. From then, I've been looking for you. I tried to organize a meeting with you. I want you to mentor me, but I couldn't get the chance. I just said to him, you know what? Everything happens at the right time. I felt like at that time when he was looking for me, we were not best matched. But at the time now, when he came 2 years back, it worked like fire. Until today, we are still connected. It started as business coaching. It ended up even as marriage coaching to rescue his marriage. Why? It was the right timing. So I always say to people, before you get mentored by someone, and also don't put yourself under pressure. Because you see, if I come to you, TJ, today, and I say, TJ, I want you to mentor me in business, or I want you to mentor me in property, then let's assume I've not read your book, I've not watched your videos, I've not listened to any of your podcasts, I don't know anything about you, but I heard people saying you're a powerful guy. Then as I later have meetings with you, or maybe I watch your videos, I realize that this guy, some of the things he says, I don't like them. Now I'm sort of under obligation because I told you I want you to mentor me. But if I start by reading what you post, I watch your videos, I read your books, I do this. When I say, TJ, be my mentor, I know what I'm talking about. So most of the time when people say they want to be mentored by me, I ask them, have you followed me on social media? Oh, not really. Oh, have you read one of my books? Oh, because you see, there is a level, TJ, where you do things for free. Then there's a level where you have developed yourself so much, you have put so much into you, and what you are offering is more than gold. You can no longer offer it for free. And when you charge, you charge seriously. Just like you see a can of Coke, you can get it in a tuck shop for a certain price. You get it in a supermarket. Even the supermarkets, they are different. The prices are different because of the experience. Yeah, you get it in different places.
The same can on an aeroplane, it's a different price.
It's a different price because of the experience. So some people, I don't want to tell them my price. They say, how much do you charge if we call you to come and speak for 30 minutes? I need to know you first. What are you trying to achieve? What do you do? Yeah,
Right.
because if I just tell you the price alone, you will say, what? This man is wicked. How can you charge me so much? Because in your world, it doesn't make sense. But in our world, it makes sense. You see? Yeah. So I normally say to people, go at least spend 200 pula, get my book, rather than you pay thousands per month for coaching. Get my book, know how I think, know how I write, know how I do my things, watch my videos, do it, get it for free. Get free mentorship by readership and watching videos. Then when you now say, hey, I understand this man, please hold my hand, I'm ready. Then I will hold your hand and we move.
Yeah. Dr. Mutoko, I want to jump into the conversation of, I think a lot of people jump into business without understanding the concept of the business.
Right.
So we come into business because maybe there is a burning issue somewhere, be it financially or employment, but nonetheless we start the business. But the concept of systems, the concept of managing finances, that might be a far-fetched thing to us. But nonetheless, the business is going, right? It's almost self-driving itself, right? What are the sort of like maybe two things that you see most smaller businesses, and I'm talking here, let's assume, I'm going to take an example that you gave in earlier on, a business that's a medium business, right? And I would also want you to answer the same question for a bigger corporate. What are the things that you see the leaders of the business underestimate, and yet when you have done the research now, it's always popping up to be the driving force of the success of that business?
All right, so two things. Thank you very much. Particularly for the micro and small businesses that don't have systems and processes in place, one of the major things is the problem of drawings. They mix personal money with business money.
Oh, man.
So,
man. Say no more.
So in my book, What You Have Is Enough, there's a chapter dedicated to that, because I carried out a survey before I wrote that book. I carried out a survey among 100 small, medium, and micro enterprises in Botswana in the manufacturing sector. And one of the major issues that came out of that research is more than 50% of the participants in that survey, they say that they don't keep records.
Yeah, I like that. I like that, Dr. And I'm going to ask you a follow-up question to say, why would it be? It's a challenge, and it's a common challenge.
Yes.
But it's my money, and it's my business. So why should I separate the two?
Good. Thank you for that. So remember, a business is a separate legal entity. You see, especially if you are running a private limited company or public limited company, if you are running a company or probably you are running a closed corporation. Of course, I know some people who just run a sole tradership or they are doing partnership, the one that is, but if you are serious that you really want to build a business and you are running a company, for example, then it's a separate legal entity. It can be sued and it can sue. It can stand on its own in the court. So as such, let's respect the business. The money for the business is for the business. The money for me is for me. So one of the deceptions, TJ, one of the deceptions is that when you talk to small entrepreneurs, they tell you that when you ask them, so do you earn a salary? They will say no. Why? They say, no, the business is small. So if I give myself a salary, it's not a good idea. And in their mind, surely that's a good, perception about business. But they are actually harming the business more, because if they have a salary, then they won't touch business money. So for argument's sake, let's say you're running a business and you're making 10,000 rands per month, for argument's sake. If you say to yourself, my salary is 1,000 rands, What it says to you is the 9,000 rands that you have made for the business, you are not touching it. It goes to the bank account or it works for the business. You are going to do your budget, your rentals, your what, from 1,000. When your wife says she wants to go to a boutique because her husband is an entrepreneur, so she wants to go to a boutique and get clothes for 2,000 rands, you can tell her, baby, at the moment, I can't afford because I earn 1,000. So let's find a way to work around the 1,000. But when you don't pay yourself a salary, guess what will happen? When your wife wants to go to a boutique 2,000, you will take from the business. When you want this, you take from the business. You want this from, so the business can't grow. And TJ, this is easier said than done. To say to people, stick to your salary, stay within your means. There's another guy I like from Zimbabwe. He's a multimillionaire. He's doing very well in business. He had a terrible background as well. But one thing I like about him is he supports what we are saying here. He says that he built his mansion over a period of 10 years. Why?
Right.
But he is into property. He is into construction. He was building houses and apartments everywhere for his customers. But his house took him 10 years because he was paying from his salary. Was not taking money from the business.
Right.
So if we really want to build businesses that stay for long, that continue to impact lives and solve problems of unemployment in the community and so on, as entrepreneurs, let's separate ourselves from our money from business money. That's a great tragedy. If we don't do that, our businesses are going nowhere. And TJ, there are people I've tried to advise. Even that's the other thing. When people come for coaching, I really do a lot of screening because I have realized some people, if I was just doing it for money, I wouldn't mind. Give me the money. No problem.
Some people are not coachable.
No, they are not coachable because you tell them what to do, they don't follow it. So tomorrow they will be angry. Dr. Mutoko just took my money and nothing has changed in my company.
Sure.
Yeah. And then for the second thing, which I think also applies even to bigger organizations, is you cannot please the customer, the external customer, before you please the internal customer. So if we are working in a big enterprise, we have the marketing department, we have the sales department, we have the HR department, we have procurement, and so on and so on. If I'm coming from procurement and I want something from HR, it means I'm actually a customer at the HR department that day.
Yes.
I am an internal customer. So if a person within the enterprise can't help another person or a colleague in the same enterprise, you are not helping your internal customers. How do you expect to help the external customer?
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Dr. Mutoko there, and that was some gold. I would like to extend to everyone else who's watching this to say, as and when you've watched this, if you got any comments in the descriptions there, you can ask any comments on the stuff that we have discussed here. We've touched on a lot of things. We've gone to family, we've gone to business, we've went into coaching. We spoke up all around about just helping you to get by. Dr. Mutoko, I want to thank you. Where can they find you? We are going to add all of your descriptions in the comments, but where can they find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn and Instagram, they are the best places to find me. Or they can drop an email at info@successtrainingafrica.com, info@successtrainingafrica.com, or the easier one is wilbertmutoko@gmail.com.
Amazing stuff. That was Dr. Mutoko, a brother from another mother.
Thank you so much,
on
TJ.
The next video.
Thank you, TJ. See you then.
Cheers. Take care.
Cheers.